So I'm thinking of canceling the Creepypasta section of my channel. I thought I'd just start by saying that, sorry if it's a little jarring, but literally 40% of people who click on my videos, at least the Creepypasta ones, stop watching within the first 10 seconds. If you want to know more about how I might be canceling it, or if I am, or if I'm not, or anything like that, you're gonna have to keep watching, sorry. So I've thought about canceling the Creepypasta section of my show 1,000 times over the last 2 years, where I've considered it. Like, the Creepypasta section of my show, even though it's the only thing that I know a lot of you guys watch, it's such a minor part of my show. It's one day out of the week. And I do a minimum of 6 other videos a week that most people who watch the Creepypasta do not watch anything either than the Creepypasta. And that annoys me a lot, in fact, because I put so much work into all of these other things too. I do all these streams, like I do a weekly charity stream where, like, I've been doing it for 2 years, no, 2.5 years now, a weekly charity stream. It's the least watched thing on the channel. People watch it every week, and people come to it live. You know, the hardcore core of the fan base, the people who are talking every day on the forum and on the subreddit and come to the streams and stuff, they tend to be really active, and I love talking to them and everything. But the vast majority of people are not that. They don't participate in anything, they don't comment, they don't talk to anyone really, and they only watch the Creepypasta videos. To this day, the Creepypasta videos are a very small part of my channel. When I originally started doing those Creepypasta videos, when I did my Creepypasta reading and analysis of Disabled, the first one I did, it was a one-off. It was not going to be a series. It was just, I was in a kick of watching video game Creepypasta at the time, and I saw that a lot of people were doing it very badly, where they would leave in all these flubbed takes of their lines, and a lot of their time would be breathing or laughing, or even they would just interject their own thoughts as they read it. And yeah, I guess there's a market for that last one there, like Yuri of Wind's stuff is great, where he does a comedy-based one, but there's no analytical one that I could find. So I thought I would do a high-quality analytical one, and I think I've succeeded in that. Can I be a harsh critic sometimes? Yes, but my job is to critique stuff. I talk more about the negative than the positive, because the negative is what you grow to overcome and get better from. Even then, I don't think I'm nearly as negative as a lot of people say I am. And again, a lot of people will comment and say like, oh, you're probably discouraging all these authors from writing. No, I've never had an author not thank me for reading their story. And often, like, you guys saw yesterday's video? That story where I absolutely ripped it apart and said, like, I say most stories are either great or meh, this one is awful. The author, the same day, posts on the forum saying, like, you know, sorry they made an awful one, I'll work better and make the next one even better. That they haven't lost hope. And that's what these authors do. They don't give up, and I appreciate that. And I have an incredible appreciation for how all these people are writing these stories specifically to hear my thoughts on them, to hear me read them. That's flattering, and that's cool. And yeah, part of it is that they get the exposure, of course, but they could do that on a lot of people's channels. They actively pick my channel for that, and I think that's really cool. Even if people mostly just write Pokemon stuff, even though I do creepypasta of any video game, which is why I ask for variety, but, you know, it happens. Yeah. But it's just this weekly sideshow I do. The majority of my stuff is based in comedy, not critique. The majority of my stuff is either teaching people or comedy, like Payday 2 101 that I do. That's all about teaching people high level of play in Payday 2. So yeah. I don't know 100% if I will or won't cancel it. I still need to think more, and honestly, I want to hear a lot of people's feedback. I want to know, I want a lot of comments, like, even if you never comment on my stuff, comment on this one and just let me know what you think, whether you're calling me an asshole or not. Just fucking tell me something. Comment. Have some interaction here. Let me know what you think. I just want to hear your feedback. Yeah, some people are going to be heartbroken that I might be canceling it, and other people won't care at all. I know some people who watch my channel and don't even watch the Creepypasta. They watch everything either in the Creepypasta. I'm really happy about that, because that's the opposite of most people. Like, if you only watch my creepypasta, there's so much you don't know about me and my channel. For instance, you don't know that I have cerebral palsy, I'm tongue-tied, cerebral palsy and Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I'm very disabled. And because of that, this YouTube channel is my full-time job. And a lot of people might not know I have a Patreon, because I can already see on my analytics that about 70 or 80% of people just skip the end when I talk about, how you can join the forum and my Patreon page and my Facebook and my Twitter. My Patreon page, where people donate to me, makes more money than my job, than I do off these views, because, like, the people who watch the Creepypasta especially, more than half of you guys who watch the Creepypasta have ad block on, so I don't get paid for my work. And, like, this is my job. If you combine my pay every month and my donations, I get half of minimum wage for Ontario, Canada. A lot of people don't know I'm Canadian, even though I've got a big Canadian flag in the background of my picture. People will just call me a dumb Yank in the comments sometimes. It's like, I'm not a Yankee, as you call it. I live in Canada, not the United States. You're using the wrong stereotype, sorry. I guess I'm just a fucking tea and maple syrup swilling lumberjack. Anyway, I check the analytics all the time. And it's funny, 10% of people who watch Creepypasta on my channel, 40% of people, so nearly half of the views, stop watching within 10 to 30 seconds. That's terrible. And then another 10% of people, they don't listen to the story, they listen to about a minute of the story, and then they actually skip ahead to the final thoughts, because I always have a 10% spike of when it hits final thoughts, where they just click the video to hear my opinion. Which is really interesting, actually. And then about 70 to 80% of people stop watching when I get to the part where I talk about my own stuff, as well as how to join the forum and all that stuff. More things that are getting me to think about just dropping the Creepypasta section. We're having less and less reviewers. This always happens where our reviewers come and leave in waves, but they're leaving in droves right now. Like, a lot of the people most people who come to the forum to review stories have stopped reviewing, and they hang around on the anything else section, and they just chat and be a community. And that's cool. I love that. And if you don't want to review, don't review. That's cool. It's fine with me. I don't blame you for getting sick of it. For every story you see that makes it to the show, and you might, be snarky and comment, like, oh, this was shit, I don't know how this made it to the show. I say that sometimes, but I say it when I think it really shouldn't have made it to the show, I guess. Sometimes when people come in, they're like, this is the worst story I've ever heard. For every story that you think is bad that makes it to the show, there were 8 more that were horrendous on the forum, that the users on the forum who were reviewing it just said, like, okay, like, I like your gusto, but you're gonna have to scrap this one. This one cannot be salvaged. This one is too bad. More than half of stories don't make it to the show because they are just awful. And that's what happens when, before I did my Creepypasta, my average viewership was around my age. I'm 22. Now that I started doing Creepypasta, my average viewership is like 14 years old. And I have nothing against 14-year-olds. I have a lot of 14-year-olds, especially from European countries, who are extremely mature, like phenomenally, insanely mature. Way more mature than any of the kids I knew when I was in high school. More mature than me in high school. But when I'm in English-speaking channel, and my main demographic is like 14-year-olds in the United States. Unfortunately, like, even the 14-year-olds of you guys watching this, I bet you 14-year-olds know a lot of other 14-year-olds who are total douchebags. Everyone knows a bunch of douchebags. And unfortunately, you get a lot of that. I get a lot of douchey comments. I get a lot of douchey inbox messages. And I get a lot of people who will use adblock just because they don't give a shit about me, I guess. And, YouTubers don't get paid if you use adblock. But anyway, my kind of last-ditch effort where I decided, like, I thought of an idea, and I went with it, and I thought, this is really going to help things. Just over 2 weeks ago, on Goodbye Volvagia, I made a speech at the end just saying, like, before you click off, I just want to talk a little bit about my show and say, like, you don't see the comedic side of me. You don't get to see all this other stuff because a lot of you just don't watch it. And I really want you guys to just watch one episode. Just give it a chance. And I said, like, take 20 minutes out of your day, watch one video. And if you don't like it, that's totally fine. At least you gave it a chance. And you never need to watch it again. And I linked 2 different kinds of videos. And said, like, just click on the left one for this, click on the right one for this. And thank you very much for your continued support, is what I said. It's been 2 weeks and 1 day. I'm recording this. It's almost midnight. Is it? No, it's like 8 o'clock p.m. So this video is going to go live in 12 hours. Yeah, 8 o'clock in the morning. So this is going to go live in a half a day from when I'm recording it. Of the 1,100 people who have watched that video in the last 2 weeks, guess how many people clicked one of those videos to go watch my other stuff? You can pause the video now and comment if you want to do your guess. The answer is 18. Of the 1,100-ish people, there are actually more than that, but less than 1,200, so I'll round down to 1,100. 18 clicked on one of those 2 videos. 18 people gave it a chance. How do you think that makes me feel? I work so hard on all this other shit. People will constantly go on this other shit and comment saying, this is great, I don't know why you don't get more views. And I'm like, thank you, I'm happy you like it. 18 people gave it a chance. I guess that's why it doesn't get any more fucking views. Excuse me if I sound bitter, but I am. I'm bitter and I'm pissed off and I'm sick of it. And it's made me resent the creepypasta so much. Water, by the way. I always get asked. So yeah, it makes me resent it because it's like the only thing that gets views. And it pisses me off because it's become my least favorite thing to do. I want to keep doing the ones, especially the ones that people have already written on the forum because they've still taken that time to watch, or to write these stories for me. I'll definitely still do next week's and everything, but maybe the next time I run out of fan-made stories, I'll just cancel it. I don't know. I need to see everyone's comments and feedback. By the way, when I said in Goodbye Valvagia, when I said, like, before you guys leave, I want to talk a little bit about my channel. When I say that, the 30% of people, or, well, about 50% of people are left. 50 to 60% of people were still watching at that point. Over the course of that little speech, we went down to 15% of people. Of the people who watched the final thoughts, only 15 stayed for that. 15% of people stayed for that. 85% of people didn't watch the whole thing, and of that 60%, well, would that be like 45%? Yeah, 45% of people who were watching the final thoughts, when they got to the part where I was like, will you give the other things a chance? They're like, fuck this, and they just left. And of the 15% of people who watched that final bit, which is more than 150 people, yeah, that's like 160 or 70 people, only 18 of those clicked it. And I just... Jesus, that's disheartening. So yeah, no idea if I'm going to keep the Creepypasta show. I'm still going to do a few more Creepypasta for sure, and I give them all a fair shake. I don't let my resentment of the show drip into the stories, because that's not fair. And yeah, so I don't know what the future of that show is. It's entirely possible I'll just drop the Creepypasta stuff, and the weekends I'll just dedicate to videos that aren't Let's Plays. I've been doing 5 streams a week for the last 2 weeks. I've been streaming so much. And although I had 2 days where a ton of people came in, like 70 people came in and were watching at once, the last few streams I did, like 30 people. Today's stream, my average was like 25 people. I don't know what happened. It was a Death Wish only Payday 2 stream, and we had so much fun, and we did so many great heists. You know, the first hour was really rough, but after that, the other 4 hours of non-stop streaming were so much fun. And the whole thing, like, I'm rendering it right after I render this video. It's probably not going to go up till tomorrow for the stream, just because it's so much content to stream, or to render and then upload. It'll take forever. Then YouTube has to process it for hours. But, God. What am I at? Like, 17,800 people subscribed, and I can't get more than 200 views on a Let's Play video. I can't get more than 1,000 views on a Creepypasta video. Like, I've got the worst viewer to subscriber ratio I've ever seen on a channel. Usually 10% of your subscribers watch every given video you do. For me, it's less than 3%. And apparently it's not for lack of quality. Everyone who comments on my gameplay videos, they literally say, "I don't know why you don't get more views." I get that comment more than 10 times a month. Again, I read every comment. People say that all the time. And sometimes it makes me feel good where it's like, I'm happy you appreciate it that much and that you think I'm that high of quality. And other days, it's just like it's twisting the knife in the open wound, where it's like, I don't know why I don't either. Call it bitterness, call it jealousy, but I genuinely do think I deserve better sometimes. And I constantly work harder and harder and harder, and feels like my joints are just decaying more and more with all the fucking stress. Again, I'm disabled, so this is my job. But I just continue to do it, because at the end of the day, I can look at the views and say, even if I barely got paid, 200 people watched my Let's Play video today. That's 200 people who watched the previous one and said, I want to watch more. I made them happy enough to want to watch more. And that makes me happy. So even if I definitely do get really down sometimes, at least I have that. Thank you, the probably 30% of you who watched to the end of this. More like 20% of you who watched to the end of this. It's got Creepypasta in the name. I'm sure I'll get 1,000 views by a week's end. Because apparently that's the only prerequisite. Until next time, have a nice day.